Through meekness there is forgiveness. Genesis chapter 32 verses 3 to chapter 33 verse 17, Obadiah chapter 1 verses 1 to 15, and James chapter 1 verses 1 to 12. Introduction. Have you tried to humble yourself with your enemy and you have been forgiven? Last Shabbat, Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh commanded Jacob to return to his land, and so he left the place of his father-in-law Laban, together with his wives and children. He also carried all his livestock and all his possessions which he had gained. Laban accused Jacob of his missing idols, which Rachel stole prior to his knowledge. At the end, Jacob and Laban made a covenant, and they departed from each other. Our parasha begins with Jacob going to Seir, the territory of his brother Esau. Since Adonai told him to return to his land, he can't avoid passing by the place of Esau. He was still afraid of his brother, knowing that Esau wanted to kill him before. But instead of focusing on his fear, he saw an opportunity to ask forgiveness and he humbled himself. How? He sent messengers and prepared an offering upon meeting Esau verses 3 to 5. He called his brother Esau, Lord, to humble himself. He prepared animals to offer Esau as a statement that he wants reconciliation. We can see two foreshadowing here. First, the picture of the animal offering in Mishkan through Aaron the high priest for the forgiveness of the sin of Israel as a community. Second, through the line of Jacob, the promised Messiah will come as a sacrificial lamb to take away the sin of the world. B. He recognized his need for Adonai and he prayed verses 9 to 12. How did Jacob pray? He mentioned the God of his father Abraham and Isaac. He repeated what Adonai told him to return to his land and to be with him. He admits that he's not worthy of Adonai's mercy. He pleaded for his safety. He recalls Adonai's promise to prosper him. Jacob's prayer is a reminder to us that the most powerful position in the world is to kneel down before Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. See, he wrestled with an angel of Adonai verses 24 to 32. Why did I include this as part of Jacob's humility? Before I answer, I would like to quote Hosea chapter 12 verse 4a. Yes, he struggled with the angel and prevailed. He wept, and sought favor from him. When the angel changed Jacob's name to Israel, the angel told him, "For you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed." Yes, he prevailed with his struggle with his brother Esau, with his father Isaac, with his father-in-law Laban, with his wives, and with the angel of God, and yet he didn't boast but asked the angel to bless him. Just as Jacob crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him. He was injured but had a new name, and closeness with Adonai. As grafted in believers, we also struggle until dawn, but when the sunrise comes, Adonai's blessing will come. D. He bowed himself to the ground until he came near to Esau chapter 33 verse 3. Notice the result of Jacob's bowing down. 1. Esau ran after him, not only to greet Jacob, but also he missed Jacob. Maybe it took 20 years of separation. 2. Esau embraced him, fell on Jacob's neck and kissed him. In Genesis chapter 25 verse 22, the two of them struggled together inside the womb of Rebekah. But now it's time for them to express their love for each other. 3. Esau and Jacob wept. They cried because their hearts changed. Now Esau wanted the two of them to be together on the journey, but Jacob refused. Why? Since he had a new name, he was now confident that he didn't need the presence of Esau and his men going back to Canaan, because Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is always with him, to protect him. His fear of his brother has come into nothing. Because of Jacob's humility, he learned to trust the God of his father. Our Haftarah portion is about the vision of Prophet Obadiah concerning the judgment of Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh on Edom, the descendants of Esau. Because of her pride, Adonai will bring her down. Aside from her pride, she deserves to be punished also because of oppressing Israel, Jacob. Instead of helping their brothers when they were under attack, they stood on the other side and rejoiced over the destruction of Judah. No survivors shall remain of the house of Esau because they will be cut off forever. This should be a warning to all nations who wanted to destroy Adonai's chosen people. Zechariah chapter 12 verse 9. And on that day I will set about to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I the Lord do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed. In our apostolic portion, James the half-brother of Yeshua wrote to the 12 tribes or to the Jews who lived outside of the promised land. He considered them brethren. That's why he gave them tips on how to face various trials. A. With joy, because it's a test to their faith, and leads to patience. B. With wisdom, because facing trials, they need to make tough decisions. C. With faith, they need to trust Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. D. With no doubt, if they doubt, they will be like a wave of the sea, moving back and forth, and can't settle. James also reminded his brethren in verse 12 that a man who endures temptation, which can be understood as trials, is blessed. The Greek word for blessed is makarios, which means more than simply happy or fortunate. For James, the reason for a blessed man to be happy or fortunate is because he will receive the crown of life, which Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh has promised to those who love him. The connection of our parasha is about humility. In Torah, Jacob humbled himself upon meeting his brother Esau. In Haftarah, Adonai humbled Edom, the descendants of Esau, because of the arrogance of his heart. In Apostolic, James said in verse 9 inches, but the brother of humble circumstances is to glory in his high position. Back to my introduction. Humility can lead to forgiveness. Like Jacob, he humbled himself in facing his brother. As a result, Esau ran, embraced, and kissed him. In Philippians chapter 2 verse 8, Yeshua being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross, so we can be forgiven. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. C.S. Lewis, Shabbat Shalom.